Although distance and time have pried open a barely translatable gap between you and me, we still find something worth tending to in the history of us that is unavailable elsewhere. You love to tell the story about how when Jesse, my twin brother, and I were babies, you had to sit me in a jumper and him in a saucer to feed us concurrently. You would shovel a bit of oatmeal into my mouth, then turn to Jesse. You inform us, smirking. You fill the room with laughter each time you describe and reenact how impatiently I would wait for my helping. Begging, high energy, you had to pick up the pace to appease me. I'm floored, not only by your ability to call up a decades-old memory, but also, and more acutely, by the joy that having had such an experience brings you. Even in my earliest memories, I've always intuited your presence as a capacious one. I was a kokum's boy, so to speak. You took me everywhere, albeit not to the bingo hall. You showed me a level of unconditional love that I rarely find at all nowadays. You were and are at the core of an extended family unit, balancing, back then, the fine line of encounter between my mom and my dad, your relatives, and his. As kids, as you know all too well, Jesse and I rarely spent the night anywhere but our little house in the bush. Yes, we often made ambitious plans to do otherwise, but you always answered our late-night phone calls spurred by a sudden bout of sickness, and then drove anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes to fetch us. Truth be told, we were seldom ill. We simply wanted to be where you were. It seems now that this flow of emotion has inverted as I've grown up. Today I sometimes forget to call when I said I would, or I habitually wait for your number to flash across my phone. This monumental change is a disorienting fact of adult life. We stretch outside the collective skin of the family. But back then your love incubated a refuge, one I can always return to if need be. To speak of the possibility of losing me because I'm not near you might also point to the ways that we inhabit imperiled bodies in a shrinking world, in which we don't remember how to coexist without stymieing collective flourishing. It's as though you're saying, Ella Warson-Shire, that I'm terrifying and strange and beautiful, someone not everyone knows how to love. It's as though you're warning me that your house might be the only sanctuary for Indian boys who love at the speed of utopia. No, come. I'm not safe. Canada is still in the business of gunning down Indians. What's more, state violence commonly manifests as a short-circuited life, one marked by illness, sadness, and other negative affects by which we become ruled until what remains of a body is a ghoulish trace. Despite the stories of progress and equality at the core of Canada's national identity, a long tradition of brutality and negligence is what constitutes kinship for the citizens of a nation sat atop the lands of older, more storied ones. I can't promise I won't become snared in someone's lethal mythology of race. What I can do is love, as though it will rupture the singularity of Canadian cruelty, irrespective of whether this is a sociological possibility. Herein lies my poetic truth. Love, then, isn't remotely about what we might lose when it inevitably dissipates. How unworkable love would be were we to subject it to a cost-benefit analysis. In the world of the statistical, it doesn't survive and is stripped of its magic. Love dwells somewhere less rhythmed by anticipation, less mediated by prediction and calculation, all of which fools us into fighting to preserve a sovereignty that doesn't exist. In Cruising Utopia, the then and there of queer futurity, Jose Esteban Munoz writes, "To accept the way in which one is lost is to be also found and not found. What has stayed constant between us is this cycle of losing and finding, this unending transference of vitality."